Welcome back. We have the Lyric Theater and the Ozark Arts Council represented with us today in great numbers. And Eric Stefanski is here to talk a little bit about the functionality of how the Lyric Theater is moving forward. And is it
Absolutely.
with a steamroller you're moving forward?
You introduced them as friends though earlier,
Yep.
which offended them.
Oh,
So
okay.
you got to watch things like that.
Okay, well.
With the Lyric Theater, of course, probably everybody heard the fact that we had a leak during the the big freeze, and that destroyed our bathroom or one of the restrooms downstairs. That's getting restored. That should be restored in time. Better be restored in time for the opening of Pride and Prejudice, which will be the first weekend of September, which most of these gals will talk about here just a little bit. In other things going on, we've got other restoration that should be done. We're hoping to launch into the actual restoration of the original restrooms up in the balcony as well.
Oh, that'll be great.
Especially when you've got schools there or anything else that's sold out. Mm-hmm. We just need more restrooms. And so that's coming along. We have some possibilities for audio and lighting upgrades. Lighting anymore has gotten to the point where you spend more money on replacing bulbs or hunting for bulbs to replace because things are just getting that old. So that's it. And again, we have to think it's been 20 years. Some of the stuff is coming a little later than that, but still you're looking at about 15 years on the soundboard. And when we got it, the transition from analog to digital was just starting, so we went analog because digital then would have still caused too many problems. And so you've got all of these things that need to be addressed. For instance, when we had Blackstone Cherry here, we had to actually have audio brought in from outside. Mm-hmm. And, you can play on the goodwill of people to get discounts just so many times for getting that equipment in. And after that, it's like, this is a lot of work for us. Yeah. You need to compensate us. Yeah. So we're trying to make it to where we can do more things less expensively and help to keep ticket prices down for everyone that way. Yeah.
So join.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, we are in the middle of our membership drive. We've had a great response, really, to our earlier membership letter. But now is the time to do it, and it is so easy now. You can do everything online. Anne was one of our guinea pigs for that, in fact. She tested it out to the point that, what should we say? She did very well in testing it. She found every possible flaw that you could find through her numerous attempts. And so we may have to give her a credit on the website for form design. Okay. So it's something, though, that you can actually both fill out the forms and pay online. You can also get your theater company membership for the year, although I suggest if you think that you're going to live anything close to 20 years, you just get a lifetime membership, which is only $100 for theater company membership. Arts Council membership, of course, starts at $25 for an individual membership. Not that we'll turn down anything less than that, but with each subsequent level of membership, there are some extra little perks that you can get as far as discounts on theater company season passes, the taking off of ticketing and credit card fees on your purchase of tickets other than that, all of those sorts of things, early ticket buying for some events, not for a couple, which we'll talk about in a second, but all of those sorts of things come with membership. And then just simply the idea that here I've invested in my community, I've invested in the arts. Mm-hmm. And this is something, too, if anybody looks at the Thursday Democrat Gazette, I think it was Thursday, may have been Wednesday. At any rate, there's an article about Theater Squared, Educating Educators, which our executive director, Juliana Hamblin, was interviewed for. And there are some great quotes in there about the impact that arts make. The director of the education program for Theater Squared said she was a kid who would not have come to school for math class, but because of theater and band, she came to school and learned everything else.
Right,
and I think that's put in the back.
Yeah, so. that's put on the back seat a lot of times for sports and other festivities. And it's real important to make sure at a young age what you're good at.
Absolutely.
And to cultivate that and to help your children know what it is. It doesn't have to be sports. They could be, like you say, they could be an art
Exactly.
recipient of something.
One of the things too, I mean, just the difference between my growing up and today is you used to have empathy in sports. You used to be good sportsmen, and there seems to be less and less of that. Even with penalties for taunting and so on, it still happens. Don't check on anybody who's injured. It's not your job, it's the trainer's job, and don't show any sort of emotion that way. Whereas with the arts, you have all of the teamwork and competition aspect can come in, but then there's also that empathy building, which is part of what that article brings out as well.
Yeah, we'd have a sad culture if we didn't have the arts.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about some of the events that are coming up. We've got two represented here. Let's go through that. We have a big show. We're limited on time this time. So let's go ahead.
I've just got one that has to get out there quick because it started this week already, which is the 5-Star Talent Contest. And this is something that Dynacom is sponsoring, so all of their radio stations, both here in Branson, and it's something that North Ark is also involved in now. It is a regional talent competition, so everything from basically Rolla or Joplin, Sedalia on down. I talked to a guy in Clinton last week whose friend's band from Heber Springs is planning to join up. And it's going to have both a People's Choice component and a regular judging component. So it's not really People's Choice Awards, but people get to vote on the videos that will be submitted to get someone into the actual competition. All of that, you can get to that from our page, thelyric.org. And in that way, you'll be able to join as talent, but hurry if you want to be talent because it's got to be done quickly.
So if you're interested in that, you need to go and get all the information.
Thelyric.org, absolutely. And while you're there, stopping by Albert Cummings Tickets. Albert is committed to actually making it this time on the tour, COVID or not. And so he will be here September 23rd. And other than that, we have, let's see, I guess we should go to Michelle first. And we should say, we've got, we'll announce her last because she's going first. Chloe Shorb, who is one of our board members at the OAC, and also is the director of the first ever completely student-led production at the Lyric and Fort Harrison High School, which is Tuck Everlasting, coming up in October. And then Riley with 2 E's, Young. I've memorized the class rosters. It's just that way. Candace Lambert. They're both with Michelle, who is here to talk about Pride and Prejudice.
Well,
Michelle
she has a mic.
She has a mic, yes.
They'll need one back there.
There you go.
Okay.
Wow. Now, let's just say from the onset that that Pride and Prejudice is your work.
For this, yes.
Okay.
So I wrote the stage adaptation of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. So it's based completely from the book. Added my own little twist here and there because whenever I read the story, you imagine how you read, right? And so there's little things that just bring out some comedy aspects or certain moments that just get drawn out that a lot of scripts that I read, because I really wanted to put on Pride and Prejudice for so long here.
Right.
And I read so many scripts just to try to do it, and they just seemed to lack the comedy aspects or the tension or completely got rid of a lot of the backstory that explained why Elizabeth and Darcy hated each other so much. And I didn't like it. So I decided to take this beloved book and write my own to help bring out those aspects so that the audience can hopefully love Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice as much as I do.
Yeah, you had to really condense it into a 2 hours or less, too, didn't you?
Yeah. I spent almost 2 years writing this, and so I read through the whole book, took out all the spoken words, so start going, this says this, this person says this, and that itself was almost oh my goodness, what was it, almost 60, 70,000 words just in itself, and I had to narrow that down to 20,000 to fit in just under 2 hour time limit for a play. So there was a lot of condensing, a lot of putting some monologues to help bring out the backstory, to help make sure things were still getting explained the way they needed to, but so we can still keep the tension and the comedy of the characters themselves.
Okay. So how's the process going now?
Wonderful. these cast members have been amazing, and I've been giving them their direction, and they've been just helping bring these characters to life so vividly. So I brought a couple of them with me.
Okay.
We have Riley over here, who plays our Caroline Bingley. She is the sister to Mr. Bingley, who's the love interest to the eldest Bennet sister, Jane. She is also the rival for Elizabeth for Mr. Darcy. So if you want to explain that a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, like she said, I'm Caroline Bingley. Elizabeth and we kind of clash a little bit. We're not the type to get along. I do try to break up Elizabeth and Darcy all the time. They're just kind of, I don't like the way they talk to each other. It's not very fun, you know? Yeah.
Okay. That's just a little teaser so that you want to come and see all about where that goes, right?
Oh, yeah. And then over here we have Candace. She plays Charlotte Lucas. She is the best friend to Elizabeth. And so if you want to give a little bit about your story.
So I am Charlotte Lucas. Elizabeth and I have been friends for years, and although I may not like all of the decisions she makes and everything that she says and does, I have to agree with her sometimes. But that's for you to figure out.
Okay.
We want to make mention that this is a comedy.
So it's still a drama. It's a
Right,
romance,
drama,
but
comedy,
there
yeah.
is some comedy that ensues, and especially like with Preston. Y'all know Preston.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So he plays our Mr. Collins, and he helps bring out this wonderful loony kind of Mr. Collins, and it's beautiful. And you guys are absolutely going to love everything he does with Mr. Collins. It's
Well,
great.
good. So when does this open?
Yeah.
So it opens September 2nd through the 5th, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at 7 p.m., and the 5th at 2 p.m. And you can get tickets now at our lyric page,
Okay.
harrisonlyric.org.
Okay.
Chloe, you want to talk a little bit about Tuck
Tuck
Everlasting?
Everlasting.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the story is a little girl is living alone in this wood with her grandma, and she doesn't really know it, but behind her is a spring of eternal life. And one day she finds it, and the family that, you know, kind of protects it, they do not like that.
Okay.
Because they know the downsides of immortality, and they feel like they need to keep it a secret in order to make sure that no one else suffers the same fate that they did, because they did drink from the spring. Again, they didn't know that it was a spring of immortality, so they drank from it, and there are people who are trying to find it, but the Ducks have kept it hidden for a long time.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't want to give too much of the story away.
Well, we
but
don't want you to give too much of it away. So I know you've been involved in a lot, like behind the scenes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure this is a whole different transition to be directing a student-led play.
Yeah,
For sure.
it really is.
Tell us about the dates of this.
Okay, so our dates are September 30th at 6, and then October 1st and 2nd at 6, and then October 2nd at 1.
Okay. So tickets available
Yes.
on the
At
Ozark
lyric.org,
Arts
yeah.
on the lyric.org website. Okay. So go pick your date.
The Lyric's back in business.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Hopefully we can keep this ball going. And as always, we want you to come back and tell us all about what's going on, and any events that we can help get that word out. We are more than happy to do it. Thanks so much, guys. Break a leg.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank
break a
you.
leg.
All right. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. Up next, Tonette Madison is here from the Boone County Heritage Museum, and she's going to tell us about what's going on there. Stay with us. You're watching 726.